Welcome, class. Now for our final discussion, I've chosen a particularly interesting fellow. So many of the Gilded Age tycoons began before the Civil War and prospered despite and sometimes because of the war. Standard Oil Company, the trust it became, and the dissolution it endured all happened throughout the Civil War and Reconstruction period. When we think of Standard Oil, the person who comes to mind is John D. Rockefeller. And of course, this is proper because it was Rockefeller who championed the direction, scope, and achievements of the Standard Oil Company from its inception in 1870 all the way through to its end by the government in 1911. It is not logical, however, to assume Rockefeller was the only person who made the giant engine of Standard Oil Company move, which controlled the world's oil production and distribution for many decades. Rockefeller's longtime business partner, who had been with Rockefeller throughout the entire Standard Oil Company, beginning on through to its near end, was Henry Flagler. Now, Henry Flagler had many crowning achievements throughout his career with Standard Oil. And Standard Oil's success, much like Rockefeller's success, is Flagler's success. Now, Flagler, like Rockefeller, came from humble beginnings, a farm in New York. When he was just a lad, he moved by himself to Ohio, where he took a job with his half-brother, working for Chapman, Harkness and Company, where they dealt in produce, much like what Rockefeller had done before getting into oil. Flagler eventually joined Rockefeller in the oil business in 1867. Their decision to do so spanned several years of working in close proximity to each other in the grain business and other produce trading firms around Cleveland. Now, Rockefeller would say in his memoirs that their friendship was founded on business rather than business founded on friendship. Now, during Flagler's years with Standard Oil, he never engaged in social activities, consistently spending most of his time in the business and with his family. He spent time at church and helping his wife through her health problems. Additionally, Flagler was known for spending quality time with his children, taking them on picnics to the country. In the entire time of his Standard career, he is said to have only been at home, or to have not been at home in the evening just twice. Now, Rockefeller went on to say that Flagler's imagination and ingenuity were responsible for the continued growth and expansion of the Standard Oil Company. Now, Henry Flagler gradually drifted away from the Standard Oil Company after his wife died, as he wanted to spend more time with his children. Now, Flagler, in caring for his sick wife, took her to Florida for the winters as per her doctor's recommendation. Now, it was around 1882 when his mind was redirected, but he never left Standard as its vice president until 1908 and maintained his position on the board until its dissolution in 1911. Now, when visiting Florida for his wife's sake, he took notice of the underdeveloped state with its lack of hotels and transportation. In 1885, Flagler had set his mind to building up various parts of Florida, specifically St. Augustine, in the way of hotels and rail, purchasing the Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and Halifax River Railway and improving it. The Ponce de Leon was built in 1888 by Flagler by $2.5 million. Flagler continued in turn to turn St. Augustine into a modern city, building neighborhoods, churches, and bringing electricity and plumbing to the city. Now, Flagler did not stop at St. Augustine, but went south, connecting the state by rail all the way south to the Florida Keys. Flagler developed Daytona, and Palm Beach, erecting another hotel there called the Royal Poinciana, which could hold 1,500 guests and had 320 waiters for its dining rooms. Now, the rail in Key West that Flagler developed was finished in 1912, connecting the state from north to south, where people there had never seen a train before. Henry Flagler would eventually pass a year later in 1913 in St. Augustine, where his entire family eventually joined him.